Hello and welcome back to CS 128 Honors. In this lesson module, we've been talking about Git, and in this lesson specifically, we are going to be talking about what happens when two commits make a conflicting change. So far in this lesson module, we've been talking about commits as if they're a linear history, right? As if each commit happens after the previous commit. And that's true for the most part. However, when you're working together with multiple people, this may not always be the case because they might make one commit, then you'll make a commit, and it will keep going like that, and these commits may not line up perfectly. And that's okay because Git is smart enough to handle that, except what if you try and change the same thing in your code? So take, for example, if you modify the same line or if you change a file and you have conflicts, right? What if something does the same thing? So Git is able to figure out most of this, but we need to give it a little bit of help. So we're going to go back to our shopping list example. And in this example, we have two lists that both have commits that are up to date. Right now, it's just apples and bananas. However, on the remote, we're going to add strawberries, right? We now have this new item, this new commit that was made on remote, but not locally, right? Locally, we have not pulled that commit from GitHub, and it's still out there on the server, but not on our computer. We then go ahead and make a change to oranges and add oranges to this list, right? And so now we have what we want, but we still don't have that commit from the server. So in order to solve this issue where we now have oranges on our local version and strawberries on our remote version, the answer would typically be to just pull, which is correct. However, Git doesn't know whether we want oranges, strawberries, or strawberries and oranges. So we need to go ahead and tell Git what we want. And the way that it does that is by telling us that there is a merge conflict. So what is a merge conflict? A merge conflict is Git's way of telling us how to solve these issues. Whenever they arise, it tells the programmer, hey, something went wrong, and it's your job to fix it before I can move forward. So let's take a look at an example of that. So going back to our shopping list example, you can see on the left, now that I've pulled the changes from GitHub, you'll see that there is these less than signs, equal than signs, greater than signs, BD38, B2C. What does all this mean? Well, it's actually Git's very clever way of telling us exactly what's going on. And what it's telling us is that the part in between the head and the equal sign are the changes that we made, whereas the part between the equal sign and the random commit hash that's associated with the commit that's conflicting with us is the changes that someone else has made or that us in the past have made. And so now we know exactly what the two versions are, and we can now go through and see what we want to fix. And so in this case, it's a shopping list, so I want to keep both of these items on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove all of the stuff that Git has added, and I'm going to put everything back together. And I make one more commit and send this back up to GitHub so that everything is all combined and ready to go, and everything is solved. The conflict is over, right? We now have a perfectly good working history once again. And so this is really easy to do with a shopping list, but it gets a little bit more complex with code. And to see why, let's go take a look at a demo now. So looking at the Howdy World example from the previous lesson, you can see that I made a change since we last left off. You can see I added this new commit, change greeting back to saying hello. And in here you can see I say hello CS128 and honor students instead of howdy. Now if we go over to the GitHub, you'll see that I also made a change over here. You can see that in this commit I changed it from howdy CS128 and honor students to howdy world again. And so these two commits are conflicting and we need to resolve it. And to see how that works, let's try and pull this commit from GitHub. So I'm going to run git pull, and you'll see now that I get a conflict. And VS Code is really, really nice because it will tell you a little bit more about what was happening than just GitHub will. You can see it'll tell us that this was the current change and this is the incoming change, and it highlights it for us. So now we can take a look and we can say, oh, this is saying hello versus howdy, and this is saying world versus CS128 and honor students. Which one do we want? Well, let's go back to howdy world instead of hello CS128 and honor students. So we are going to remove this code up here and remove the flag down there. And now we've resolved this commit or this merge conflict, and we can commit it again. Fix merge conflict. And now everything's good to go. If I run git push, it will allow me to push it back up to GitHub. And so now if we go to our GitHub, you can now see this new commit where we fixed the merge conflict, and you can see exactly what we changed. I hope you enjoyed this lesson that's relatively short about Git conflicts, and that this will help you in not being scared by these as you move forward with Git. See you in the next lesson.